Liu Mingpei was born on April 26, 1917, in Gansu, China. Ian Pei, which he is commonly known as, was raised and lived in Hong Kong and Shanghai, China. At an early age, Pei was architecturally inspired by the gardens of Zhuhu in China. In 1935, at the age of 18 years old, Pei moved to the United States and enrolled in University of Pennsylvania's architecture school. Not too long after starting at the university, he left to go to Massachusetts Institute of Technology, also known as MIT, because of his expectations of the University of Pennsylvania's architecture school were vastly different, and the professors taught in a Beaux-Arts style, which is rooted in classical traditions of Roman and Greek. Ian Pei was also intimidated by the other students' drafting skills and was more interested in modern architecture rather than Beaux-Arts. When Pei went to MIT, he also changed his major from architecture to engineering, but the dean of the architecture school convinced him, after seeing his eye for design, to return to the architectural program. MIT's faculty, like the University of Pennsylvania School of Architecture's faculty, was focused on the Beaux-Arts, and this was uninspiring to Ian Pei. Pei found inspiration in Swiss-French architect Charles-Edward Jeanneret Gris, better known as Le Corbusier, and the American architect Frank Lloyd Wright. Pei was inspired by Le Corbusier's visit to MIT that he said, "The 2 days with Le Corbusier, or Corbu, as we used to call him, were probably the most important days of my architectural education." Pei was also to meet with Frank Lloyd Wright in Springfield, Wisconsin, when visiting his Taliesin building, but left after waiting 2 hours. Pei excelled in his studies at MIT, receiving his Bachelor's of Architecture in 1940. After receiving his degree, Pei wanted to move back to China, but his father urged him not to because of the Second Sino-Japanese War. Pei listened to his father and started working for an engineering firm, Stone and Webster, in Boston, Massachusetts. In the late 1930s, Pei met his future wife, Eileen Liu, while visiting New York City. Pei and Eileen started dating and were married in the spring of 1942. Eileen went to school at Wellesley College, then enrolled in Harvard University to study landscape architecture. Through Eileen, Pei was introduced to the faculty at Harvard's Graduate School of Design, GSD, and he was so excited by the atmosphere created there that he enrolled there in December of 1942. Excited about joining Harvard's Graduate School of Design, Pei was ready to get started, but not even a month later, he had to put his plans on hold to join the National Defense Research Committee. Pei was with the NDRC for over 2.5 years, but little to no details of his time there were given. In the fall of 1945, Pei returned to Harvard and received a position as an assistant professor of design. Also that same year, Eileen gave birth to his and her son, Ting Chung, but this forced Eileen to quit landscape architecture program in order to take care of him. Like Pei, the GSD did not care for the Beaux-Arts. 2 members of the Bauhaus, which is a European architectural movement that had advanced the cause of modernist design, Walter Gropius and Marcel Breuer, had moved to the United States and took positions at Harvard GSD after the Nazi regime condemned the Bauhaus school. Pei was intrigued by their focus on the modern architecture that he had made sure worked closely with both Walter and Marcel. Walter Gropius, too, was impressed with Pei and his work so much he once said it was the best thing in my master's class about one of Pei's design projects, which was a plan for an art museum in Shanghai. In 1946, Pei received his master's degree and then taught at Harvard for another 2 years after. After teaching at Harvard for 2 years, Pei started working at the firm Webb and Knapp in the spring of 1948. New York real estate magnate William Zeckendorf recruited Pei, and their personalities, in Pei's opinion, were the opposite, but they became good friends. Zeckendorf was well connected politically, and Pei found learning about the social world of New York City's planners was personally enriching. Pei's first project at Webb and Knapp, was an apartment building which was funded by the Housing Act of 1949. Zeckendorf really loved the design so much that he showed it off to Le Corbusier when they met. The design was based on a circular tower with concentric rings where the center of the building housed the utilities and circulation, and the apartments were located on the outer edge. The building was never built because of its unusual design had made the building too expensive to build. The first project of Pei's that got built was a two-story corporate building for Gulf Oil in Atlanta, Georgia in 1949. The Architectural Forum praised Pei's use of marble for the exterior curtain wall, and this front facade was kept for an apartment development when the building was demolished in February of 2013. Pei's early work and the work he received was compared to Mies van der Rohe's early work. Pei became so popular that he started to become overwhelmed with the work that he had, and he asked Zeckendorf for some assistance. Pei chose his associates at GSD, Henry N. Cobb, and Aldrich Franzen to help out with the work that he had created. Pei and his associates set out to work on a variety of projects, including the Roosevelt Field Shopping Mall, the redesign of the Webb and Knapp building, Elephant Plaza, and a series of projects in Denver, Colorado. The Mile High Center and the redesign of Denver's Courthouse Square were projects that Pei learned the process of development and about the city as a living organism. Pei once said that these lessons were essential for his later projects. After making a name for himself, Pei set out to establish his own firm. He and some of his associates left Webb and Knapp to create a new firm called I. Pei and Associates in 1955. This name later changed to I. Pei and Partners. I. Pei and Associates still primarily worked with Zeckendorf, but had the freedom to work with other companies. Pei and his associates/partners worked on many projects like Kips Bay Towers, Society Hill Towers, Royal Bank Plaza, Green Building, and even helped with the Luke Memorial Chapel in Taiwan. Pei began to become a little overwhelmed with balancing all these different projects, and it took an artistic toll on him. With Pei's dissatisfaction and also Zeckendorf's financial problems, the two I. Pei associations and Webb and Knapp finally broke apart in 1960. This helped Pei's creativity, but pained him personally because of the strong friendship he had developed with Zeckendorf. Pei, in his words, breakout building was the NCAR. In 1961, Walter Roberts asked I. Pei to design the new Mesa Laboratory for the National Center of Asthmatic Research, which was located outside Boulder, Colorado. Pei was able to return to his hands-on approach with his design, especially since it differed from his recent urban projects. Pei wanted the building to be a part of nature and not, in his words, detached from nature, like he thought the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs was. Pei wanted to break away from the Bauhaus tradition by making the conceptualization stages very important. After Robert disliked Pei's initial design, Pei came up with a design that fit Robert's vision perfectly. The building consisted of a series of space-apart clusters of buildings which were connected by a lower level of structures that consisted of two underground levels. Pei is known for his cubist designs, and his building was no exception. The NCAR was very successful and brought renewed attention to Pei and his work. Pei received work on various projects like the dormitories at New College of Florida, S.I. Newhouse School of Public Communications at Syracuse University, and the Sundrome Terminal at John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York City. Pei then received what he called the most important commission of his life, John F. Kennedy Library. Kennedy's widow, Jacqueline, gave the final decision to hire Pei as the architect to design the building. She said, "He didn't seem to have just one way to solve a problem." She also said, "He seemed to approach each commission thinking only of it and then develop a way to make something beautiful." The project had problems with its original location with the citizens of Cambridge, so the project was then moved to Columbian Point, which is near the University of Massachusetts, Boston. The design consisted of a large square glass-enclosed atrium with a triangular tower connected by a circular walkway. Finished and dedicated on October 20th, 1979, the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library and Museum was generally liked by its critics, but Pei himself was disappointed. He felt that the years of conflict had changed the whole nature of its design. He said, "I wanted to give something very special to the memory of President Kennedy." And he said, "It could and should have been a great building." After the most important commission in his life, Pei went on to design many great buildings around the world like Dallas City Hall, Hancock Tower, National Gallery East Building, Fragrant Hills, Javits Convention Center, Meyerson Symphony Center, Bank of China, and even Le Grand Louvre in Paris, France. In 1990, Pei retired from full-time practice, but still practices today. He also is an architectural consultant for his son's architectural firm, Pei Partnerships Architects. So far in his career as an architect, Pei has won a variety of awards like the first Premium Emperor for Architecture in 1989, the AIA Gold Medal in 1979, the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Cooper Hewitt National Design Museum in 2003, and even the Pritzker Prize in 1983, which is like the Nobel Prize for architecture. Stylistically, Pei was thought as a modernist with Cubist themes. He's also known for taking traditional architecture elements with progressive designs based on simple geometric patterns. My favorite quote of Pei that wraps up his thought of architecture in a few sentences: "The talk about modernism versus postmodernism is unimportant. It is a side issue. In an individual building, the style on which it is going to be designed and built is not that important. The important thing, really, is the community. How does it affect life?" This is the end. Thank you.